my dainty dandelions. Welcome to the 4th installment of my series, Why Come No One Told Me That?, where I talk about makeup and skincare basics that maybe no one has told you before. Today's video is kind of basic and straightforward. I'm just going to be sharing a few little tips and some kind of questions you can ask yourself when you are choosing a foundation so that you find a product that is going to make your heart happy. And I'm also going to be telling you guys the foundations that I use in my kit and sort of why I use them and in what situations. I haven't really talked about the foundations that I use in my kit very much so far because they are somewhat extravagantly priced, and I want to have a channel that is sort of more accessible to everyone. But a lot of you guys have asked, and I still think it's good to know, and they're products that I'm passionate about, so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off and show you guys how irresponsibly I spend money on makeup. A couple things that I want to make note of in the beginning. The video that I made a couple days ago about how to know what your skin type is going to be crucial for this video, because if you don't know your skin type, you're really not going to be able to choose foundation that works for you. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that this video is not going to go into how to color match foundation. This is really talking about what formula types there are. But don't worry, I'm making an epic base matching video that will come out next week. I was actually going to do that one this week and this one next week, but I swapped them. So now this is the order. Cool story. So a lot of this information might seem really self-explanatory and obvious to you, but I see people using foundations that aren't really right for their skin type often enough that I feel like it will help at least some of you to hear me say these words. So there are a few different factors that you want to keep in mind when you are searching for a foundation, and those factors are the formulation type, so basically like powder foundations versus creams versus liquids. The finish, so what effect does it give the skin? Is it luminous? Is it natural? Is it matte or satin? And the coverage level. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about those different factors and kind of what they mean for different skin types. But before I get into that, I just wanted to let you know that the internet is your friend. Sometimes, when it's not being like Craigslist creepy. But in this case, it is your friend, specifically Sephora and Ulta's websites. They are super helpful when you are trying to find a foundation that is going to work for you. You can go to either website and you can tailor your search by formula type, skin type, finish, coverage level, and from there you can get a feel for what options there are in different price ranges and kind of what the reviews are, so that then you can go into the store with an idea of like a few products in mind instead of just walking into Sephora like, hell, there's so much stuff. Because I literally do that when I walk into Sephora. Sometimes I'm like, there's too many things. And then from there, I'm a big fan of samples. Get samples of the different things that you want to try and then see how you like them before you spend your money at a strip club. Because I'm pretty sure this is the universal hand gesture for spending money at a strip club, not at Sephora, although I think it feels the same. I guess what I'm trying to say is Sephora is to women as strip clubs are to men, and that we're just like, take my money! Yeah! Woo! I'm so excited about spending this money that I'm doing it like this. Okay, that was a weird tangent. Moving on. So the most important factor when it comes to choosing a foundation that is a good fit for you personally is you're always trying to maintain a balance of moisture when you're wearing makeup. If you have too much moisture on your face, then it can feel greasy and makeup breaks down more quickly, and if you have too little moisture on your face, then it can feel dry and it can look kind of patchy and cakey. So the general rule is that if you have oily skin, you want to use products that are more oil absorbing, and that's going to be things like powders or liquids that are formulated specifically for oily skin, and they'll say that on them, or they might use words like long lasting or matte. And if you have drier skin, then obviously you want to use more hydrating formulas like serums, tinted moisturizers, liquids formulated for oily skin, or that use words like dewy or luminous. If you have normal skin or combination skin where you just kind of slightly one or the other in parts of your face, then you can kind of just pick and choose based off of what your preference is. So the questions that you want to ask yourself are, first of all, what do you like the look of? When you look at celebrities whose makeup you like, or when you think back on the times when you felt like your makeup looked really awesome, what was the finish like? Do you like that kind of glowy, dewy look, or do you like it when it's more velvety, or do you not even want to notice it? Do you just like for it to be kind of like a natural skin finish? Everybody has a preference, and it just takes a little bit of like self-exploration. I should really edit out when I laugh at things like that, because my mom watches my channel, but I'm not going to. Obviously, when it comes to formula type, that is going to dictate what the finish is in a lot of situations. So clearly things that are better for dry skin, that are more hydrating, are going to have more of a dewy glow. Things that are better for oily skin are going to have more of a matte finish, but there is a spectrum within each of those products. You know, there might be like liquid foundations for oily skin that still have a more powdery finish, and there might be powders that have maybe more mica in them, so they give a little bit more of a glow. So that's why I really like using Sephora or Ulta's website, because you can say, well, I have oily skin, but I do like a luminous finish and I want a powder, and then you can see if something comes up for you. Another question you want to ask yourself is, how much coverage do I really need and how much coverage do I really want? Sometimes people might have like a little bit of discoloration or breakouts around their chin, and so they're like, well, I've got acne, I need full coverage, but they don't end up being super comfortable with full coverage, because no matter what the product is, if it's marketed as a full coverage foundation, it's going to look heavier than a tinted moisturizer or a light liquid, and you might not like that look, and you might not even need that coverage everywhere. So you could use a tinted moisturizer and be happier, and then just spot conceal in the areas where you need it. So definitely take a good look in the mirror. Take a good look in the mirror. Jeez, getting deep. Also, I'm sweating really bad. Please excuse me. So to sum up, you want to ask yourself, what's my skin type? Do you have dry skin? Is that why when you use the powder foundation that your friend recommended so highly, it just makes you want to claw your face off, which is a true story about me from years ago, by the way. What finish do you like the look of the best? Do you always love Lupita Nyong'o and Emma Watson's makeup, because they both tend to always have a very healthy glow? Or do you love Ariana Grande's makeup, who tends to have a more matte finish? Those are really different people that I just listed as examples. And how much coverage do you really need and want? Do you like the look of just like super glam polished canvas, or do you want things to feel a little more breathable and low maintenance? I also wanted to share an experience with you guys. I know that words like glow or matte or luminous or satin, when they're attached to a product, should be a good indication of what type of product that is, but I have learned that that's not always the case. So don't be disheartened if you're confused and you feel like you've tried things that say like it's a glow foundation, but then it was drying on you, because the other day I went to Sephora and they put a sample in my bag and I didn't pay attention to what it was. And when I got home, I looked at it and it was something called a Volcasmic Glow Matte Moisturizer. And I just sat there looking at that combination of words together, and I just felt like angry and confused and like scared. And I came to the conclusion that advertisers like words and they like money, and sometimes their brains explode and they just shoot out nonsensical buzzwords that they feel like will make them money. Like, yeah, glow, matte, I know from Instagram that people like those words, let's just shove them on this product. So just take everything with a grain of salt. And on behalf of the cosmetics industry, I'm sorry. And it's okay if you don't really know what to do with that, because I don't really know what to do with that. All right, so the foundations that I use in my kit. I don't actually have my kit with me right now, and I did not think this through. So you're just gonna have to pretend like I'm holding up bottles of things instead of air. Let's dive right in anyway. So first of all, I do have a little different criteria for the things that I put in my kit than maybe someone that's just using the product on themselves, because one thing that's always a priority for me is shade range. I need something that has a big shade range and like really good quality shades. And my priority is always gonna be what looks the prettiest and not necessarily what is going to last the longest without touch-ups, because when I go to do someone's makeup, I'm gonna be there all day for like at least 12 hours, and it's my job to touch up their makeup. So I'm gonna look for products that look really, really gorgeous on camera or in photography, and I'm not gonna be as concerned with finding something that's like doesn't need to be touched up for 12 hours, because like that's my job anyway. And the group of people that this is going to impact the most for the purposes of this video is people with oily skin, because I have found, in my humble opinion, that products for oily skin and the long-lasting matte type of products just, I don't think they ever look quite as pretty as maybe just like a standard foundation for normal to slightly oily or slightly dry skin, or something with a dewier finish. It's not that the products that I use don't last really well, because they absolutely do. It's just that if you have really oily skin, or you're somebody whose foundation tends to break down really quickly and you don't want to deal with it at all, or you really do like the look of a matte foundation, I don't have like a super great recommendation for you, and I'm sorry. So the main foundation that I use in my kit more than anything else is the Face Atelier Ultra Foundation. Oh, it is a magical product. It has a great shade range. It looks like skin. It's got a great medium buildable coverage, so I can sheer it out or I can kind of build it up if I need to. It looks good on essentially every person I've ever used it on. Like, I've never used it and been like, this isn't really a good fit for them. It lasts really, really well on everyone but the most like extremely oily, and it has a really beautiful natural finish that leans dewy, which is kind of my preference. It's great with textured skin and older skin as well as younger skin, and I know a crap ton of makeup artists that use it as the main foundation in their kit. It's kind of like a little industry darling. It comes in 2 sizes. There's the normal full fluid ounce, which is $52, I want to say. And then there's the pro size. It's the same product, but it's just in a more kit-friendly little pump bottle, and that is $36. But for me, it's worth the investment because it just works so well and makes my life so much easier. The other foundation that I use in my kit all the time is the Kojen Joe Moisture Foundation, which is $62 for less than a fluid ounce, but it's so pretty. This is the foundation that I pull out when I really want that dewy glow. It just looks so gorgeous for that purpose. It's not shimmery, like there's no particles in it. It's just very hydrating. It to me is like if a tinted moisturizer were not tinted, it was an actual foundation. And it kind of feels just like wearing moisturizer as well, which I appreciate. I really care about the way that makeup feels on the face. That's a huge priority for me. If I try something and I don't like the way it feels, and I'm very picky about this, then I just won't put it in my kit. It also has a great shade range. It's not quite as extensive, but the colors are really good. It has more of a light to medium coverage, so not quite as much coverage as the Face Atelier, but it just looks so lovely on camera, and so I keep coming back to it even with the stupid price. And the other product that I use all the time, and I have actually mentioned a few times on my channel, is the Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. This is kind of like the OG tinted moisturizer, and in my opinion, it still holds up and is a fantastic product. This is what I reach for the no makeup look. I use it on male talent all the time because it just looks like skin. I use it for people with freckles when I don't want to cover them, which is any time that I get to choose whether or not the freckles are getting covered because I hate covering freckles. Or really any situation where someone shouldn't look like they're wearing makeup, which is a lot in film and TV, by the way. It's not no coverage. I've tried a lot of tinted moisturizers that I put on, or I put on somebody and I'm like, are you sure you're not just moisturizer and tinted is maybe a stretch? Because it does give a little bit of coverage, and it also has a nice glow and kind of blur effect that is really good for texture issues, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much for male grooming, because men tend to not be as great about exfoliating and more mature skin types. It is $44 for like a pretty big ass bottle. It's like 1.7 ounces, so it's a little more affordable than the others, but it's a really good thing and I like it. And then for foundations for like really oily skin, as I mentioned, this isn't like a big deal for me, but one product that I did want to mention is the Smashbox Halo Hydrating Powder or something like that. That's the only powder that I've used I really actually like. I find that it just doesn't look as powdery or dry as a lot of other products, and I like it has kind of like a twisty thing where you're always like scratching off a new layer of powder, so it feels more hygienic to me. But if I'm in a situation where it's like really humid and somebody has oily skin and they just want like a natural little light to medium coverage, then I'll sometimes grab for that because I do think it is a good product. I also wanted to mention a few kind of drugstore standouts since I just mentioned a bunch of really expensive products. These have not been tested as much, obviously, as the ones in my kit because products in my kit get extensive testing because I put them on literally hundreds of faces in every situation and every skin tone and type. The drugstore ones I've really just used on myself, but I have liked them and I wanted to tell you what they are. I really like the Maybelline Fit Me foundation and the L'Oreal Pro Glow foundation. I feel like they're kind of similar, but I do like both of them and I've used them both on myself kind of a lot lately. And then for kind of oilier skin types or like a more long-lasting formula, I like the Covergirl Ready Set Gorgeous foundation. I felt like that lasted pretty darn well on my face. I don't know how it would hold up right now when it's a million degrees and I'm sweating profusely in front of you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I like all of those. So if you are on a budget, those are probably something good to try out and see what you like. If you have great foundations that you love so much and you're like, duh, Caitlin, why didn't you mention this one? Put it in the comments. I hope that this was helpful for you guys and that you enjoyed learning what I use at work. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at Kiki Makeup and subscribe to this channel, or else you will be transported to an alternate reality where every character of Star Wars is replaced with Jar Jar Binks, and that would be devastating. You can also like this video if you like this video, or dislike this video if that is your truth. I will see you guys in a couple of days. Goodbye. I don't know why, but today I feel like Meg Ryan and You've Got Mail when she goes to the mattresses and she's like, It's like I've been literally walking around my house today going, yeah, just like fighting ghosts in my hallway. Like the super cool normal person that I clearly am.